Okay. So how much do you guys know about lake monsters?
Jack shit.
How much
Very
did you
little.
all research about lake monsters?
I thought our topic was medical devices, so I researched that instead.
Oh, no, we were letting Dumbass pick this one, remember? Remember?
I thought we picked medical devices in the chat after last week.
Well,
I
I was
kind
gonna
of
do
thought
that.
that
I
too.
was gonna do that for next week, so I guess you'll be well prepared for next week's. We could do medical devices now, but then I have nothing to say about it. You guys might have more on it than me. We can title this one Lake Monsters and talk about medical devices.
And then vice versa next week.
That's right.
Someone does not have headphones on. Gasp. Okay, now I don't hear them. I think that must have been Brandy.
I don't think she was making any noise.
I'll blame her anyway.
All right.
Oh, I just heard myself again. How dare you?
Okay, why is everybody clean shaven? What's going on here?
I gotta find a job.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I heard. Me too. Me too. It makes you look 12, though. I'm not sure if that's the look you were going for, but you look so much
Yes,
younger.
I know. I know. I forgot what I looked like without a beard.
Yeah, it's like you're like not old enough to buy a beer. I would card you. Like, you look awful young. Do you have Susan go buy the beer just to spare you that moment?
tweet.
Okay, I will go silent again. Let's see. Okay.
So what medical devices did you learn about? Do tell.
There's some crazy thing that it's called like an electrohomeopathy device, apparently.
Huh.
You put your hand on a little, and it supposedly reads energy patterns from your hand and diagnoses you electronically, digitally. It's retarded.
Wait, is that like those aura pictures they used to do of hands that were essentially like heat? It was like thermal imaging, but
Yeah, I'm not even sure that this actually
aura.
picks anything up, though. I think it's just completely BS.
Oh, pretend BS. At least you got some
Erno, are
pictures
you
in your
outdoors?
hand.
The birds are contributing to today's show.
You guys banter. Excuse me for 1 second. I have a technical
Banter.
thing to attend to.
Are we supposed to be looking out behind you, Erno, to see if there are Russians invading, or no? You're good.
There are never any Russians. Don't be silly.
This place is actually real close to the Russian border.
Yeah, that's why I asked, yeah. Well, as long as you're not in a plane, I think you're okay.
Oof. So, yeah.
I was trying to find a cord to plug Brandy's Ethernet cable to plug her computer in because she's on like a 7-second delay the last couple times she spoke.
I'm gonna stay quiet though. I mean, I'm not doing audible or anything. Also, the window is open, so you may have a Gracie crashing through your sound at some point. Just saying.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I can hear you talking, and then it comes through my headphones seconds later. Oh, you're gonna growl at me, huh? Take that bone somewhere else. Go play with it somewhere else. Go.
You have a dog?
That's Brandy's dog. She has this bone that she's playing with. She decided she has to do it at my feet and clank it all over the floor here. So yeah. So there's that. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna start my recording. Dog bone noises and all.
Should I bring her out here?
Now I have Actually, yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I have now advertised us on Facebook. I'm very timely.
Okay, there we go. I'm good now. I'm ready when you are.
Alrighty, let's see. What should we use today? I'm gonna be boring. On count of 3, we're gonna sync. Is everybody ready to record? All good?
I'm ready.
Okay. Count of 3. We're going to say Loch Ness. 1, 2, 3. Loch Ness.
Loch Ness. All right. Welcome to the Irreverent Skeptics podcast. I'm your host, John Ombie. Joining me today, July 19th, 2014, are Michael McElroy.
Ahoy hoy.
Let's do
Arno.
that one again. I had hard mute on, so it didn't register.
Boo. Boo. All right, let's start that again.
Kids these
Starting
days.
again? Okay. God damn it, my volume keeps adjusting on me. This is driving me crazy. Okay.
Maybe we should do something other than Hangouts for the next recording. Like we tried doing Skype.
We could. Alright, so, count of 3, Loch Ness. 1, 2, 3. Loch Ness.
Loch Ness. Welcome to the Irreverent Skeptics podcast. I'm your host, John Ombie. Joining me on July 19th, 2014 are Michael McElroy,
Ahoy hoy.
Erno,
Hello?
Christ almighty.
Brandy is lurking. Dumbass is having some technical difficulties and will join us as soon as he can. And Mike Bowler.
Hello.
So today we're going to chat about lake monsters. So what are lake monsters anyway? Well, according to Wikipedia, the Vermont Lake Monsters are a minor league baseball team and short season A classification New York Penn Lake. Wait, that's not right. God damn it, McElroy, stop fucking with my notes.
Nope.
Jesus. Alright, so anyway, lake monsters. So basically cryptids of different kinds. Generally, what I've seen, they tend to be serpents, occasionally holdovers, dinosaur holdovers, if you will, plesiosaurs, sauropods, whatnot. Most of the stories I've read about lake monsters seem to be a lot of eyewitness accounts, blurry photographs, and videos that don't really show anything clearly. So
No, John, I gotta stop you there, because as with Bigfoot, these are not blurry photos.
I'm sorry.
Lake monsters are blurry.
They are blurry. I saw this thing. What it looked like? I don't know. It was kind of blurry.
Kind of fuzzy, a little unclear.
Looked like static on an old TV back when they had the hand dials. Yeah. Anyhow, so we've got some lake monsters up in this bitch, yo.
Word.
Yeah. Loch Ness. You guys know about Loch Ness? The Loch Ness monster?
No, John, I know nothing about Loch Ness.
I
Tell
don't
me all
believe
about
you.
it.
Since it's probably the most well-known lake monster, I figured we wouldn't spend too much time on that one. Because I think just about everybody knows a little bit something about it. So anyhow, the brief explanation, it's a lake monster that possibly exists in Loch Ness, which is a lake in the Highlands of Scotland, possibly sighted as early as the year 565 and as recently as the year 2014. Numerous photos and videos, as well as first-hand accounts and sightings, have surfaced, yet no amount of searching has really turned up any solid evidence of its existence, probably because they're fuzzy. Also, if they're fuzzy, on sonar, do they come across as a distorted image on sonar?
Sort of a moss-covered rock.
Oh yeah, there's that. So Brandy was telling me earlier that I guess the most famous of the Loch Ness photos, there was a confession by someone who had claimed to have helped set up the photo. I guess it was a deathbed confession.
Yeah. It was a toy submarine or something?
That seems right, yeah.
With a nylon stocking or something attached to it, and it just looked like a little plesiosaur neck.
Which is not to deter believers by any means.
Oh no, because just because that one was fake, that doesn't prove that it's not really there.
Which I guess that's true. That one photo being fake doesn't prove it doesn't exist. But again, like I said earlier, there's no real solid evidence of its existence. Nothing conclusive by any means. So here's one that another one that I may have heard of before, but don't recall until I was doing research, was Mokele Mbembe, which, by the way, that is pronounced correctly. Thank you very much. You can insert
wait.
clapping
You're telling
here.
me you actually looked up a pronunciation for something and got it right? That's amazing.
No, I listened to a video where they said it over and over again, and then I typed out the
okay.
pronunciation. Because, see, in normal conversation, I could pronounce this correctly, but then you put me here on the recording, and I fumble the fuck out of it every time, so I sound like some jackass that can barely speak English, much less any other language.
Sound like one.
Sound like one, act like one, draw your own conclusions. So anyway, Mokele Mbembe, which is in the Lingala language, means one who stops the flow of rivers, or in my opinion, uses too much toilet paper. Am I right? Huh?
Hey-o.
Anyway, this legendary water-dwelling creature,
Water drilling
Congo,
also.
yes, of the Congo River Basin, is sometimes described as living, sometimes as a spirit. That's
What?
yeah, that's interesting. So sometimes it's a living cryptid,
Magical
sometimes
cryptid.
It's just a ghost cryptid. Yeah.
That's kind of like the psychic UFO Bigfoot or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some
instead of
cryptozoologists
making a double whammy of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would call it, yeah. Some cryptozoologists claim it's a sauropod. Legends of the creature have been passed around for over 200 years. Yet, once again, no conclusive evidence of its existence has been discovered. Now, I watched a clip of a video, and there's a YouTube clip of it that I'll put in the notes.
I got to point out this footage you've linked to here.
Mm-hmm.
In the voiceover guy says that the people claim to have recorded footage, so this footage that they have in the documentary isn't actually footage. It's a dramatic recreation.
Does it say dramatic recreation? Does it actually say
It says they claim to have captured footage of it.
Oh, I just figured this was the footage where they claim to have captured footage. Either way, if you look at this
if they
footage,
actually captured footage, they wouldn't have to just say they claim to.
It's very shaky. It's shaky, not very well focused footage, and then they zoom
like a
in on
fucking
the
elephant.
spot, and it looks an awful lot like a boat to me. I'm just saying.
I thought it was an elephant.
No, it's a pretty fast-moving elephant if it can leave that much weight in a body of water. Super elephant.
You don't have to go that fast.
So it's a snorkeling elephant.
Exactly. Or swimming elephant.
How would an elephant snorkel? Come on, really?
It would have to have some sort of like hose-shaped apparatus to get air from above its head or something. That's just ridiculous.
Look, we're here to talk about logic and reason, not fantasy bullshit, McElroy. Come on.
My bad.
Sorry.
Speaking of logic and reason, how about Champy, who I was reminded of today, if in fact I had ever heard of it before.
Yeah.
Possibly
kind of a big deal in the eastern seaboard, the northeast.
It's the Ron Burgundy of the eastern seaboard.
It's Champy? No. But it was another lake monster, kind of a Nessie sort of thing. It was possibly reported that first as early as 1609 by the French explorer Samuel de Champlain, who founded the Canadian territory of Quebec, and who the lake is named after. Province, not territory. The province of Quebec, and who the lake is named after. While battling the Iroquois on the lake shore, he purportedly spotted the monster in the water. And the Pittsburgh Republican, dated July 24th, 1819, in an article titled "Cape Ann Serpent on Lake Champlain," reported the account of Captain Crumb, which is just a great name, sighting an enormous serpentine monster. Excuse me. In 1883, Sheriff Nathan H. Mooney claimed that he had seen a, quote, gigantic water serpent about 50 yards away from a spot on the shore. He claimed that he was close enough to see round white spots inside its mouth, and that, quote, the creature appeared to be about 25 to 30 feet in length. This report led to many eyewitnesses coming forward to tell stories of their own sightings, which is actually something you see a lot with cryptids, like with the Bigfoot, something, or Bigfoot or UFOs. Like every time there's a major UFO sighting, suddenly a whole bunch of people will come out of the woodwork and start saying that they've seen UFOs also, and it kind of the same thing happens with movies about UFOs. A lot of times you'll start hearing reports of UFOs popping up after a movie about aliens comes out, and of course the description is somewhat like what you see in the movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
I think
Chippy-
Independence Day pretty much did that.
Yeah. But Champy became so popular that P.T. Barnum, the famous circus performer, ringleader, whatever, stage master of stage and screen, I don't know what the fuck he is, in the late 1800s, he put a reward of $50,000 up for a carcass of Champy. In 1977, Sandra Manzi took a photograph that appears to show something sticking out of the lake. And if that's not proof, I don't know what is. Video was taken in 2005, which shows what pareidolia would tell you is possibly a head and neck of, wait for it, a plesiosaur-like animal.
I'd like to go
Oh,
back
shit.
just a second in this story to talk about Captain Crumb. A lot of people don't know this. He is
Chromatize me, Captain.
he's kind of the broke-down cousin of Captain Crunch.
Yeah. Broke down.
Oh, that was solid. God damn it, that was a good joke.
Cricket. So,
I hate you guys.
my girlfriend Susan has been living in the Northeast for most of her life, most of her adult life at least, and she told me all about Champy and how there have been government-sponsored expeditions that are really going out to look for other things, like other aspects of like the health of the lake or things like that, and in their proposal they'll also say that they're going to look for Champy as well. And there's a folk legend of the Battle of Plattsburgh, she said. I'm probably going to screw this up and she's going to hate me for it. But she said that Champy was supposedly one of the fighters in that battle against the British in the Revolutionary War.
So they
I never
enlist
heard that.
the monsters now?
Oh yeah, he's there. He's a native, so he's fighting the invaders, you know.
I guess that makes
No taxation
I mean, some sense.
without representation.
Sea monsters can't be citizens. You don't represent me.
I never heard that actually.
Ah,
I know a little bit about the campaign up and down the New York from. What was it? Arnold was supposed to be moving from Buffalo east. I forget who was supposed to move north to catch the British. They were trying to push him back into Canada. I don't ever remember anything about a champ being mentioned in those battles.
It's funny how he gets left out of history like that. That's what happens when the white man writes history. He leaves all the minorities out of it.
Yeah, apparently.
let's move on to Tahoe Tessie. Clever name,
Hey.
you twits.
Phrasing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of annoying. Like, there's Nessie, so what? Oh, we got Tahoe. It's Tessie, huh? That's just, I don't know. It just seems so. I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for here. Anyhow, it's another serpent-like
Derivative.
creature. Yeah, it's another serpent-like creature described as being. There you go. This is nice and specific. Between 10 and 80 feet long.
So
Having a large, smooth body, even though it appears to be a reptile. Coloration ranging from anywhere from jet black to turquoise. So, it's sometimes it's goth, sometimes it's never mind.
emo,
Yeah, sometimes it's emo,
ranging
sometimes,
from goth to emo.
sometimes it's really happy, sometimes it's flamboyant. I don't know. Right?
Fabulous.
First sighted,
Maybe it
I love
changes
this.
color
First
when
sighted
it's
in the.
heat.
What'd you
Ah,
say,
there you
Erna?
go. Nice.
Maybe
here-
it changes color when it's in heat.
Horny lake monsters. Oh God.
When it's jet black, it's hungry. When it's turquoise, it's time to get down.
And when it's rainbow colored.
So I love this. It's first sighted in the 1950s by two off-duty police officers on the lake who claimed to see a black hump rise from the water and keep pace with their speedboat, which was supposedly traveling over 60 miles per hour. I can hear Brandy laughing her ass off outside.
I'm glad they were able to get such a clear view of it while they were moving that fast on water.
So not only is this thing, not only is it like any range of size, it also can travel in the water over 60 miles per hour to keep pace with a speedboat, because
It
that's
couldn't
what
possibly.
animals do.
It couldn't possibly be one of the little ripples of their wake that looked like something moving along at the same speed as them. No, it had to be a 10 to 80 foot long monster.
I'm thinking, here's a scenario in my head. Crank that throttle up. Hey, Elroy, look over there. Hand me another beer first, but look over there. I'm like, look, Cletus, you're right. There's something over there. Anyway.
It almost looks like it's following us.
So,
Okay, we have to get Erno to do more American accents. That is hilarious.
Definitely. In 2006, a family was on vacation near the lake and reported seeing a large black scale-lacking creature appearing similar to a sturgeon with an upturned white nose. I don't actually know what that would look like. However, the creature moved up and down like a mammal.
Nose.
The creature moved up and down like a mammal instead of side to side like a reptile. What? Yeah. Okay.
So more like a dolphin than a fish.
That's one of those things I think that might lose its translation or lose its meaning in translation. Like if someone's explaining it to you face to face, and maybe with the right hand movements or gesticulations, you'd be like, "Oh, I get what you mean." Whereas you just read that, it's like, "What?
How far is Lake Champlain from the ocean? Does anyone have any idea?
Lake Champlain or Tahoe?
Oh, this is Tahoe. Sorry, I'm thinking about
this is Tahoe, Tessie.
Oh my God
Yeah,
damn
we're
it!
on Tahoe, Tessie.
I am fucking stupid.
Ooh, leave that in when it's edited.
Yep,
You get to look like you fuck up for a change.
I'm perfect. I'm the one who edits, so I'm always perfect.
Let's see, Lake Tahoe. I don't know how many.
I'm guessing it's relatively isolated from the ocean, so this wasn't just people seeing.
It's very. Let's see. I'm going to try and give you a rough estimate.
So this wasn't just a lost dolphin, then.
Well, if this map would load, I can tell you.
Internet.
God damn you, Internet. On that note, Brandy tells me that apparently Fios is available to us here in the fine city of Pittsburgh, and I'm like, hello. So it looks like somewhere around a few hundred miles at least. So. Yeah, it's a few hundred miles away from the Pacific. Yeah, it's pretty well. It's pretty well excluded from the ocean. I don't know. Anyhow, here, moving on to the next Ogopogo, which is my favorite name so far of all the cryptids.
Sounds like a character on a kids' TV show or something.
There's another name for it, which looks like, if you just look at the spelling, looks like Nataka, but I looked repeatedly at the pronunciation and cannot pronounce this quite right. Anyway, so.
Nataka?
Sure. No, it's not that. It's like the Taka is like, is it apostrophe TKA or something like, and it's I don't know. Like you just have to look it up. It's very bizarre. I tried, and I was like, fuck
we'll call it Steve.
It's like, fuck it, I'm not doing it live. So anyway, this is Ogopogo is the name of given to a cryptid lake monster reported to live in. I don't know if it's Okanagan Lake. That sounds right. Okanagan Lake, and is it Okanagan? Okay. In British Columbia, Canada. Yeah. Anyway, reportedly, it has been seen by First Nations. I'm not sure what that means. Is that a name for
Native Americans?
Native culture?
In Canada, so it's not Native Americans.
Gotcha. That's what I meant. Native persons.
Yeah.
Anyway, reportedly, it's been seen by First Nations people since the 19th century. Most commonly described as a 40 to 50 foot long sea serpent. It was sighted in 1926 at an Okanagan Mission Beach by about 30 cars of people who all claim to have seen the same thing. This is one of those deals where I wonder if, so you have this big group of people that, some amount of people are claiming to have seen something, right, and the other people are listening to this story, and not that it's not even necessarily they're like, oh, I want in on this too, but then they're like, wait,
right.
I saw that.
And this could be one of those situations where the way that reporters or whoever were asking people questions matters too, because and they might have asked them, well, so and so reported that they saw, and insert description here, rather than, people say that they saw something in the water. What did you see? And people could say, "Oh yeah, that's what I saw too." And that way they could say that they all saw the
Leading
same thing.
questions? No.
No.
Yeah, and you can't forget the bandwagon
So
effect.
in 1968. Right. Yeah. In 68, Art Folden filmed what is claimed to be footage of the creature, showing a large wake moving across the water. That reminds me of the Mokele Mbimba footage. Like, yeah, there's something in the water. And then in 2011, a mobile phone video captured 2 dark shapes in the water. That was all the description. I didn't see the video of it, but that's all the description I could find was that there were 2 dark shapes in the water. If that doesn't reek of credibility, I don't know what does.
You're right.
So Arno, you got your notes up. You should read about Selma because I cannot pronounce these words, and if anyone can, it's you, sir. You can save us.
Sure, I'll try my best at Norwegian. Selma
You could just say
is a
it.
lake
You
monster.
could say it in any language, and we'd be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds right."
He's got a Furman accent. He sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, Selma is a lake monster said to live in the lake Seljordsvatnet in Seljord, Telemark, Norway.
I could never.
According to most who have seen the supposed creature, Selma closely resembles other reported lake monsters, such as Nessie. Surprise, surprise. And of course, Champan. Ogogobogobogobogo.
How's that go again?
Ogobogo.
Ogopogo, I thought was like, oh, there. It has theme music made by Oingo Boingo. Thanks, I'll be here all week.
It's almost like Oompa Loompas.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So that-
Oh god. Oh god.
Oh, we are off the rails.
Do we even?
And were we
have
on the
rails?
rails?
I mean, come on.
Sure. The first eyewitness accounts date back to the 18th century. The Swedish explorer and cryptozoologist Jan-Ove Sundberg has been trying to capture Selma for a number of years now, but has not succeeded.
Because
I
he was
wonder
wasting
why.
his time.
It
He doesn't-
may be because
He
it
doesn't have a
doesn't
fuzzy net. That's his problem. You need a fuzzy net.
Right.
It needs to be a blurry net. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to.
Of course.
Very
You
fine
can't
particulate mesh.
blurry with blurry.
That's right.
But if you're not blurry, how do you hold a blurry net?
Huh. That's a good question. Yeah. And
This is all
Selma
fuzzy
was
logic here.
possibly recorded in a video by a Norwegian girl who was visiting the lake with her parents. Possibly. How can you possibly catch something on video? I suppose it's one of those,
Well, that's like-
there's something moving in the lake kind of thing.
That's like the Ogopogo footage, which is like there's something making a wake in the water, or there's 2 dark shapes in the water. So yeah, oh well, there's a video of something. What is it? I don't know. Maybe it's Selma. You know.
Yeah. So the locals think the video is good, is legit, and that the phenomenon is real. But yeah, I suppose they have a vested interest in saying that, because
Oh yeah.
pretty much every lake that has a so-called monster catches the eye of a lot of tourists. So
Oh yeah. Cryptozoology. That's a big deal in cryptozoology. Is that everywhere that claims to have a location exclusive beastie, they sell a whole lot of crap to tourists about it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the Oklahoma octopus has a fan club.
Oh god,
Probably.
the Oklahoma octopus, coming from my home state of dipshitia, America. The Oklahoma octopus is a mysterious creature generally said to inhabit 3 lakes in Oklahoma: Lake Thunderbird, Lake Oologah, and Lake Tinkiller, where it attacks and kills unsuspecting swimmers. According to legend and rumor, this freshwater demon measures the size of a horse and resembles an octopus.
Wait.
Tentacles.
Wait.
With long tentacles and leathery reddish-brown skin.
So
Yeah,
there's
go
a kill count for this creature, right?
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. This thing is supposed to be killing people, and they're not sure if it exists.
Yeah. It
I
gets
hear you,
better.
Brandy.
Oh, no. Yeah, you can hear Brandy laughing her ass off in the background. This is just too good.
Holy fucking
So
shit.
skeptics, like us, question how an octopus, an ocean creature, could survive in freshwater lakes, but it is easy to believe
It
that
could
such
be
a
an
creature would be a
evolutionary
fearsome predator.
option.
Yeah, it is not that easy to believe that it would be a fearsome predator. So, the giant Pacific octopus, for example, has tentacles that each boast the strength of a 200-pound man and a powerful beak that it uses to kill prey. That's from AnimalPlanet.com, also from AnimalPlanet.com. Quote, although no physical evidence exists in the case of the Oklahoma octopus, many point to the high mortality rate and large number of unexplained drownings in the Oklahoma lakes as a clear sign of its presence. Now, as a native of Oklahoma, I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, there's not a large number of unexplained drownings. Most of them are easily explained by dipshit teenagers drank too much beer and went out on a boat and somebody drowned, and it's not
Must
that
have been
many
the
per year.
octopus what got him.
Yeah, here's another one. When I was a kid, talk about lake monsters. There was a lake monster story in Oklahoma about Lake Tenkiller and also a lake called Grand Lake, where apparently this is what happened. See, my friend's dad is a diver, and he went down in the lake, and down there are catfish bigger than horses. No, they're bigger than a truck, and they will eat people in one bite. They'll eat a whole man in one bite. I would be told.
I'll be.
And yeah, when I first heard that, I was like, "Huh, that's a really big catfish." Nobody has a picture of that. I remember thinking this is like I was probably 10 when I heard that. I was like, "I'm surprised no one has a picture of that." And then I got a little bit older. I'm like, "This is the biggest horse shit I've ever heard." Like that. Those are the kind of stories passed around. I have never, ever heard of the Oklahoma octopus.
Well, I have a theory actually. I think that most of these cryptids, their skin is made of metamaterials, so that the light doesn't really work right with them. I don't know. That doesn't explain anything.
So they've been planted by extraterrestrials who have magic material engineering capabilities.
You know what?
You're Killipus.
Yeah, you're missing it though. You completely miss the reality here.
These are big garter snakes.
Do enlighten us, sir.
Yes, I mean we got you said
BGS is on the rise.
Yeah, Loch Ness. Let me see.
Tahoe, Tessie, Champy.
Yeah, Champy. They're all serpent-like.
Aren't you people listening? All of these monsters are serpent-like monsters. They're hiding out in the water. They're killing your children.
They're the High Council of the Illuminati.
The garter snake is out there, people. You're not paying attention. You won't wake up and listen to the truth.
Wake up, sheeple.
Yeah.
Murder pills.
Arise, goat folk.
Staring you right in the face, people.
Yeah,
these guys, right there.
These guys are the reptilian overlords. They're the High Council of the Illuminati.
I thought I found it was funny when I started reading about the Oklahoma octopus, and then when I started reading it out loud here, and I heard Brandy laughing, she found it even more amusing than I did. But I was like, "What? The Oklahoma octopus? What is this shit?" I'm like, "I've never heard of this. I've been there all my life."
And you know what reminds me?
3 months.
This story though, this sounds to me like one of those things. Every now and then, when you're doing an investigation of some phenomenon or something, you'll hear that. You'll hear from eyewitnesses or from somebody who's local to the area. Well, there's a whole lot of reports of people dying mysteriously, or something's out of the ordinary, and it just becomes like local folklore that there's an unusual number of deaths and unexplained disappearances. And then you actually go into the records, and there's nothing going on. It's just normal activity. I mean, this is something where there may not even be a phenomenon here that needs an explanation, but because this explanation is fun and popular, and it's passed on as an urban legend, it just sticks around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to mention that they would need a breeding population to survive beyond whatever the average lifespan of the animal is.
Yeah.
I promise you, all of those lakes in Oklahoma, there are so many people on those lakes, so many fishermen on those lakes that have the fish finding sonar device that it would be found by now. Someone would have found this damn thing by now. I don't know about like Lake Loch Ness. I don't know how many people are on that lake. I know these lakes in Oklahoma, and there are people on these lakes all over the place. Something would have been spotted. There would have been some kind of tangible evidence by now.
This kind of reminds me of
that's conjecture. I suppose that's conjecture, but I am confident that something would have been found other than just some legend I found on Animal Planet online. Which, by the way, boo Animal Planet.
There is a decent.
Aren't they the ones who posted the mermaid documentary thing
called Inverness?
I was not aware of that.
The mermaids, the body found, and then whatever that wasn't that Animal Planet.
I guess they had to cash in. They had to cash in on what the History Channel did with monsters, ghosts, and
Yeah, right.
and yokels
Ancient aliens.
yokels hunting ducks, and I don't know what any of those shows are on.
Duck
What channel.
with Bubba and Phil.
I know it was on History Channel that I was watching Swamp People or something like that one time. I was like, why is this on History Channel? I don't understand. So we'll move on and do our what's now here in just a minute. I sent Dumbass a message saying for whatever parts he was going to contribute for this, we'll fire up a recording later to edit in his stuff. However many of us are available when he can do it, we'll
As
get
long
him
as
to
he
do his
remembers
bits
to
as well.
upload his recording. Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, so should we do the what's in?
What?
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 All right,
What?
number one. Pastor and author of book titled "Freedom from Homosexuality" arrested for molesting teenage boy.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, well,
Why do I find that so hard to believe?
Now, let's not confuse homosexuality and pedophilia here. Come on, guys.
True.
No. Yes, that's a good point.
Sexually
but
repressed people.
No,
who are
hang on.
finding illicit outlets. That's one thing.
it's a male pastor who was arrested for molesting a teenage boy. That's the part. Now, I also want to make note. I want to be clear that he was arrested for and he is suspected of. He has not been convicted of. So I don't want to. Not that there's a billion people listening to us or anything, but I don't want to sound like I'm convicting the guy ahead of time. It's just I found it kind of funny that I write a book about freedom from homosexuality, and then look, a teen boy that I really like. Like, I wish I could say I was surprised by this story. Really, that's the thing. I see this now and I'm like, yeah, well, that unfortunately figures. I just can't be shocked by this crap anymore. I don't know.
I think this is
reminded
all
me.
about being on a on your own guilt trip about being a homosexual or something, or having these feelings for underage children or something.
I don't know how old this teenage boy was, because that actually makes a difference, I think. Because
Sure.
I don't know. It seems like if he was 17 or 18, he's technically a teenager, but I wouldn't consider the guy a pedophile just because there's the legal line drawn there. That doesn't seem like he's attracted to kids to me. But
So it would have
been
been between the ages of 16 and 18. Do a little math with the numbers they have. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
15. So 15 to 17 or 15 to 18.
Closer to the border. Yeah.
Yeah, Brandy in the chat here noted that pedo means prepubescent.
What are they called?
By definition.
Hebophiles or something like that?
Ephebophilia, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, ephebophiles. For me, but again, like I was saying, that
puberty.
for me, the thing that caught me wasn't the fact that it was a teenager so much as like he wrote a book about freedom from homosexuality and then he's arrested for molesting a boy.
This reminded me of another story that's kind of gone around a lot of the atheist podcasts in the last week or so. Is a guy who was a convicted violent sex offender who applied to work at some church somewhere, and they knew about his past, but they said that he'd been forgiven by Jesus, and then he raped somebody.
So on that note, here's
church.
the thing. Yeah, on that note, like if in fact, I guess if the idea of religion or of Christianity, if the idea of I've been forgiven by God for this thing I've done,
that's all that matters.
That's the thing, I guess. I mean, yeah, in a way, I guess like I can see the reasoning, but come the fuck on, really? All I'm saying is not that it's correct, but I understand the reasoning there to some extent.
And what was it? The church said something about how it wasn't their job to judge.
Yeah, come the fuck on, really? Like you don't have to judge, but you can do a little risk. You can do a little risk assessment. You don't have to judge him. You don't have to say you're a horrible human being, but you can do a little risk assessment and be like, well, you may be forgiven and all, but we don't think it's appropriate for you to be in this position.
But John, he said he was sorry to Jesus, and that's all that matters.
It is all that matters. I've said I'm sorry to Jesus plenty of times when I've killed the good guys on Fallout, and it doesn't ever help my karma. I'm just. Here's another what?
That right there, I gotta say something. I'm sorry. That is one of the single most ridiculous aspects of Christian theology, I think, is the idea that it does not matter what kind of a person you are, at all. It doesn't matter how horrible of a human being. It doesn't matter if you ever seek forgiveness from anyone else. All that matters in the mind of that sort of person, that sort of Christian, the people in this church, all that matters is that Jesus forgave you. So you can go out and murder dozens of people. You can rape children. You can beat animals. You can just horribly mistreat people. But as long as you say sorry to Jesus, oh well, come on, be our pastor. Come near my kids. You know, fine. We don't.
Am I incorrect that in the Catholic belief there are some sins that are irredeemable? Is that correct?
I don't know anything about
the
Catholicism.
There's a couple
sins, I think.
I don't know the exact ones, but I mean, some you go in, you do confession, you do your penance, and you're back on the street.
Like I'm pretty sure murder is one of them that's irredeemable after murder, I believe.
Yeah, and I think denying God
I don't
or Jesus or something.
Talk on my ass without researching it first, but anyway, moreover, like in the evangelical Christianity, that's the case. Like whatever you've done, you can be forgiven by Jesus, regardless of what it is you've done. And it's kind of they never say this outright that you can just sin and then ask for forgiveness over and over
Hitler
again.
Could
but
be
really,
in
that's
right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's really the model they teach you is, confess your sins to Jesus, and then it's just implied. At least this is the experience I had when I was in church. It's just implied. You've confessed your sins, and it's implied. Now you're not going to do those things anymore because you've been, quote, saved. Jesus is in your heart, so you won't want to do that stuff anymore. And even if you do, you just have to talk to Jesus and get forgiveness for it. So if you're a rapist or a pedophile or a murderer or someone who steals candy from kids or whatever, and just say, oh, I felt bad, I did that, so I just need to go ahead and talk to God and get forgiven again, and then God will keep me from doing that again. Oh, well, Satan won this time, so I better ask for forgiveness again. So.
I wonder if that's all he needs to do now. I mean, he raped somebody before and he got forgiven and they were okay, so he's done it again, so he just needs to ask Jesus for forgiveness, and they'll hire him back. They'll give him his job back, right? Because that's how their logic works. This is a fundamentally fucked up, immoral, terrible, unjust belief system. If you believe that somebody can be forgiven by a completely uninterested or a completely uninvolved third party and say fuck you to the victims and never seek their forgiveness, never try to make any sort of reparations, and then they can get eternal reward and bliss in paradise for this shit. Meanwhile, say that their victim loses their faith in God as a result of this and becomes an atheist and goes to hell under this system.
Right.
This is the perfectly just
hang on,
God.
here's the thing. In some doctrines, depending on what the hell.
The hell.
I just lost the word. Sorry. Depending on what doctrine you follow in evangelical Christianity, even if that's the case, you stop believing in God as long as you. And
are you talking about the once saved, always saved thing?
Yeah, the once saved, always saved. Like no matter what you've done. So once you're saved, if you will, no matter what you've done, you are forgiven from then on out. So it's like I'm saved now. I have a pass to be a total shit for the rest of my life because I have Jesus. That's what I used to make the joke when I worked in the restaurant industry. It was well known for people that worked in the restaurant industry that the crowd you didn't want to deal with was the after church crowd on Sunday because they were a bunch of picky, rude assholes who didn't tip worth a shit. And I would tell my coworkers, they would just the look they were giving me. I'd be like, well, they got Jesus. What do they don't give a fuck about you? Why do they have to worry about you? They've already got Jesus. That's, in a way, though, then the reason I said that is because in a way that's how the doctrine would teach you. Like you're saved. It doesn't really matter what you do now because you've been saved. So you have carte blanche to be a total shithead to everybody because you've been saved. Yeah.
Anyways,
denomination. That was the fucking word I was looking for earlier. In different denominations.
Yeah.
There's also a kind of a real life problem with religious sects, especially the Christian ones, where pastors have an easy access to children, basically, because
they're just trusted
everyone
because they're
thinks
pastor.
that their pastor is the good one.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
he's a man of God. Of course, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, and some demand celibacy of their priests, so that might even worsen the problem.
So in our Q&A about another cryptid, Jim Goebel or Jim Gerbil, I'm not sure how you
Jim
pronounce that.
Goebel.
Yeah.
Jim Goebel.
Jim Goebel says, when I swim in the nude, my lake monster scares all the ladies. That is, all I'm saying is there's been no photographs or videos of it, Jim. So
We're not sure it exists.
Yeah, we're not sure it exists. Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah,
Pixar, get the
but
fuck
Please
out.
do not send
Right?
us pictures of your lake monster.
Good
Yeah,
for
please don't
you.
send junk pics. I would appreciate the fact that somebody sent us something, but
For the
I would
first
not appreciate
time.
the fact it was a junk pic.
The first serious listener email we get is a picture of a penis.
I would make
That
a
would be
gallery of those,
appropriate
cock
for the
pics
level of
of
the
our
show.
listeners.
Yes, we have a separate page on the irreverentskeptics.com page. Our listeners' penises.
After you've done your age verification, you can look at the Irreverent Skeptic fan cock pics.
Fucking A, there's a dick joke for the week.
Let's move on to our next what, which is this is a little bit of justice porn. So if you're into that kind of thing, so in
That last
Daytona
story
Beach,
pissed you
Florida.
off. This one should make you happy.
Yeah, in Daytona Beach, Florida, a father reportedly walks in on a man molesting his 11-year-old son and took matters into his own hand. He beat this guy into a fucking bloody mess. Like, there's a picture of this guy, I guess his mugshot. One eye is swollen shut. The other one looks like it's got something leaking out of it.
Bad night.
One entire side of his face is swollen the fuck up. So anyway, he's got several knots all over him. He's bleeding from the mouth and from looks like one of his eyes and ears. And
He looks like a half-melted Play-Doh sculpture.
yeah, 35-year-old father walks in, sees this guy like molesting his son, beats him unconscious, drags him into the living room, calls the police, and what do you say? This is what he said to the police. I didn't proceed to ask him any questions, sir. He's nice and knocked out on the floor for you. I drug him out into the living room.
Hey, what are your intentions for my son? Nope. Punch, 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 punch.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And apparently, let's see, this guy, that Frolander was his name, when he was questioned about molesting the boy, he said, quote, I'm guilty. So yeah, he's
Of course you fucking are.
so
yeah, I kind of
yeah.
want to cheer for the parent, but vigilante
encourage that,
justice is
sir.
kind of bad still.
Even
though we know that he's guilty and everything.
Here's the thing about that. I would agree with you in general. The thing about that is this: like, he walks in on his son being molested. You can't blame the guy for beating this dude up. But what did he do? He
Sure.
beat him up and then
Excuse me,
dragged
sir,
him
please
out of the
stop
living
that.
room and called the police.
Sir, please stop
I
touching
think-
my son.
I think under the circumstances, he handled that about as well as one could.
Right.
If you had told me, like, oh yeah, he beat him up and then killed him, I would be like, oh yeah, well, that guy kind of had it coming. But I think in this case, like, he just beat him up and called the police. I'm thinking, yeah, it's about as well as you can handle it. I don't know what else to do in that case.
I think I would probably end up beating somebody if I saw them doing that to my kid.
Mhm.
Just in a rage. It would. Yeah. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
think
say I wouldn't
emotion
do it.
come into play
You wouldn't
here.
walk in the room and be like, bad form, sir, bad form,
Bad show.
bad show. So here we have some Glenn Becky. What?
Yes.
Oh, do tell. This should be good.
Glenn Beck is defending. Well, this is the headline that I saw a lot of news outlets sharing was Glenn Beck defends book that claims whites were the worst victims of American slavery.
What?
So
Wait, what?
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 So from the Raw story, they say, quote, Americans United for Separation of Church and State has criticized Heritage Academy, a charter school in Arizona, for using Cleon Skousen's The 5,000-Year Leap in a 12th grade history class. The group said that the book promotes, quote, Christian nation propaganda, as well as claims slavery was beneficial to African Americans. Beck, who has promoted the 5,000-Year Leap, insisted there was nothing wrong with the book. He said he was doubling. Co-host Steve Berger, we'll call him Bergery, remarked that critics had never, quote, produced one sentence from the book that was controversial. So, I got an
Just
issue.
wait a minute. I think burgery is what the hamburger does.
Robble, robble,
Rubble, rubble.
robble. He robbles. So I've got an issue with a lot of the reporting on this story because this book, the one that he's talking about, does not say the things that they're claiming it does. But another book by the same author does. The actual book is Cleon Skousen's 1982 history textbook called The Making of America, which characterized African American children as, quote, pickaninnies, and described American slave owners as
say that again?
pickaninnies. Pickaninnies? And described American slave owners as the worst victims of the slavery system. In the book, he quoted several pages of historian Fred Albert Shannon's incredibly racist 1934 book, Economic History of the People of the United States, saying that they, quote, tell the story of slavery in America. So here are a few excerpts of Cleon Skousen's book, The Making of America. Apparently, newly sold slaves were usually a cheerful lot. The tendency was, quote, the tendency was to sell families as units, if for no other reason than to keep the slaves contented. The gangs in transit were usually a cheerful lot, though the presence of a number of the more vicious types sometimes made it necessary for them all to go in chains. At the other extreme, while the Central of Georgia Railroad Company in 1858 equipped a Negro sleeping car to assist in the slave trade, it set a standard not always maintained in a later generation. So they have really nice sleeping cars. When on the block, the slave was as likely
What's there to complain about then?
the slave was as likely to hinder as to help in his sale. Some, out of a vain conceit in bringing a high price because they give a fucking shit about the price that there's being paid for them, would boast of their physical prowess, in which case an unwary purchaser would likely be cheated. Others would malinger because of a grudge against owners or traders, or in order to bring a low price and be put at less tiring labor. Dealers also adopted the tricks of horse traders to make their merchants more attractive. The greasiest Negro was generally considered the healthiest. Apparently, slaves also hampered
really
the
not
efficiency of white
yet.
labor. In the management of slave labor, the gang system predominated. The great majority of owners, having at the most only one or two families of Negroes, had to work alongside their slaves and set the pace for them. Slavery did not make white labor unrespectable, but merely inefficient. The slave had a deliberateness of motion which no amount of supervision could quicken. Head of the gang, they would all shirk behind his back. I'm going to skip over a couple more sections here, but apparently white school children would envy the freedom of their colored playmates, and Southern life was a nightmare of fear for white people because they were constantly afraid of slave uprisings. They were afraid of slave uprisings. So, and
so they created their own hell.
Basically. And then after this huge long section where he was quoting from another book, he put a little graphic in his book of two black hands in shackles holding up their chains with the caption, "In some ways, the economic system of slavery changed the slave owners almost as much as the slaves." So that was the Making of America.
Did you by chance watch or listen to any of the actual Glenn Beck bits of this?
No, I haven't.
I did not. I just was he? I just wonder, was he promoting this? He
wasn't promoting this book. That's the thing. Every single place that I looked was saying that he was promoting the 5,000-Year Leap and that these things were from that book. They're not. They're from another book by the same author.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But was he promoting? Was he quoting from this book mistakenly? Perhaps.
No. He specifically was promoting the 5,000-Year Leap because he said it was this brilliant textbook that he's followed that's taught him so much about the true history of America.
I see.
The 5,000-Year Leap is crazy enough on its own. It tries to claim that the ancient Israelites had a president, two vice presidents, a Senate of 70 members, a Congress of elected representatives, and a number of other factors which it claims that they shared with Anglo-Saxon common law, and that it also says that this Israelite system, not the common law system, but the Israelite system, was what the founders based our government on. In reality, Anglo-Saxon common law really came about largely as a result of interaction between the Germanic people of ancient Britain and the Roman Empire, and Moses wasn't even a fucking real person.
So I think this boils down to the thing where they claim that the Constitution of the United States was handed down by God, and it came from Israel through England to the.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
So to say.
Oh God.
The British Israelites or whatever the theory is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really stupid theory. But does he cite any sources or anything? We probably should have this book so we could
I have
check.
a copy of the book. I should a digital copy of it. I should check it out. But I've seen it described as riddled with errors. So
yeah, I highly doubt that he's going to cite any sources for an Israeli democracy.
Because, I mean, he mixes real things in with the bullshit, too. Like, he mentions that Thomas Jefferson originally, the national seal, have an image of the two Anglo-Saxon people who were largely credited with the creation of Anglo-Saxon common law. And then he also says that the other side was supposedly going to show the Israelites being led through the wilderness by a column of fire. I haven't found any support for that half of the claim, but the thing about the Anglo-Saxon people, I can't remember what their names are, but that one definitely is true. That one he actually did promote. But so much of the book is just complete bullshit. But his co-host said that nobody's ever pointed out a problem with the book, so he's obviously not actually looking.
So in more of religion of peace news, Philadelphia mosque leaders try to cut off man's hand. So this is from Reuters. Two men described as leaders of a Philadelphia mosque were accused of trying to cut off the hand of a suspected thief whose wrist was sliced so deeply it required hospital treatment. So this 46-year-old guy was at mosque, and after morning prayers, the imam and emir of this mosque accused him of having stolen jars of money from the house of worship and dragged him to the back of the mosque and tried to cut his hand off with a machete. This is all alleged. Officers served a search warrant on Thursday on the mosque located in a house in the city's Overbrook section, where they arrested Merv Mitchell, also known as Mabul Schultz.
His name is Merv Mitchell?
Yeah, and they recovered a 2-foot-long machete. The mosque's imam is an unidentified 35-year-old male who has not yet been located. So no, I guess it hasn't been proven at this point. This is another story where it's alleged.
Wow.
No one's been convicted at this point. Wow.
And this is in fucking Philadelphia.
Yeah, in fucking Philly. Oh, and the other one, I don't know if I mentioned the pastor that was arrested, the one who wrote the anti-homosexuality book, who was arrested for molesting a teenage boy, was in Pittsburgh. So yeah, a couple of
interesting state.
Close to my new home stories here.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, Illinois, what's the difference, right?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm not from around here. I'm from the land of the Oklahoma octopus. Thank you very much. So that's all our what's. Mike Bowler, you got some follow-up for us from the last show, yeah?
Yeah, the libertarian...
Wait. Dude, you skipped over like 4 stories.
I did not. Did I?
You totally did. You skipped straight from the 5,000-year leap down to the last story.
For some reason, I thought, for fuck's sake, I thought those were all part of the same story. So let's wait on the follow-up and let Mike McElroy do his other stories, because I'm a horse's ass.
Yeah.
So Mike, since I got my head up my ass, why don't you tell us the rest of the what's for today?
Okay. So, former Missouri Congressman Todd Aiken said that he should have, quote, I should have said legitimate case of rape. You may remember this guy from a couple years ago. In an impressive display of tone deafness, former Missouri Congressman Todd Aiken totally misunderstood the outrage at his statements back in 2012 about pregnancy and rape. Aiken said, back then, quote, if it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. Not realizing that women's bodies are not, in fact, magical rape detectors, Aiken seems to think that the problem was just the wording of what he said, as opposed to the pants-on-head stupidity of his scientific ignorance and callousness. He claims that liberal media outlets distorted the meaning of his words, but seeing how he was making an argument that pregnancy is rare after rape because a woman's body can shut down a pregnancy, it's kind of hard to find any other meaning in what he said.
So he doubles down on his stupidity.
He didn't change his mind or try to correct himself about the factual inaccuracies. He just said he worded
nothing
wrong.
changed here.
And he was saying that the legal term, is legitimate rape, but he should have said legitimate case of rape. Magical rape detectors.
This is a guy that someone just needs to tell him it's okay to say I fucked up. It's okay to say I was wrong.
Right.
Like you will look better if you just say, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
He seriously thinks this is true, though.
You think he does? Really? You think he thinks that's true? This is the thing. Like, for as much as I've lost my faith in humanity, I hear some things like this, and I think that the person's he's being hyperbolic on purpose. He
Oh, no.
doesn't actually believe this shit. He's
No,
just
there is a meme.
out of people.
There is a meme among the pro-life sect of like evangelical Christians that you should never make an exception for abortion in the case of rape because in an actual rape, a woman cannot produce lubrication and sex is impossible. So they believe that if you get pregnant after a rape, you weren't really raped. You consented. They actually
really wanted to be raped.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're fucking stupid.
I'm constantly amazed by this because how many times have I asked you, like, do you really think that guy believes that? How often have I asked you that?
Oh, yes. Most of the time the answer is, oh, yes.
What's wrong with these fucking people, I swear.
Speaking of which, Minnesota Republican bases economic agenda on theory that sperm enzymes in the anus cause AIDS.
Why not?
So the last couple of weeks...
Sound science...
That is terrible and stupid, but I don't know why that's so fucking...
Apparently
it's hilariously stupid. I'm sorry, go on.
The last couple of weeks introduced us to Minnesota Republican congressional candidate Bob Frey, and the world joined together as one to slap its collective forehead with the heel of its collective hand. Why, you ask? Well, this guy believes that AIDS is caused when the enzyme that sperm uses to enter an egg causes tearing in the rectum. According to the Raw story, his opposition to the gay agenda was about the financial impact of that agenda. Quote, "It's more about sodomy than about pigeonholing a lifestyle," he explained. "When you have egg and sperm that meet in conception, there's an enzyme in the front that burns through the egg. The enzyme burns through so the DNA can enter the egg." But Frey said that it was a different story when the quote sperm is deposited anally, because it's the enzyme that causes the immune system to fail. That's why the term is AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, he opined.
Also known as the hostile bombardment sperm theory of disease.
So clearly the way to prevent AIDS is to pull out.
I have this mental image of so to describe this he's gonna do like, okay, so I'm doing a little drawing of the Mongol army. These are the sperm, and this wall, this is the anus.
Exactly. But I mean, you gotta think about the implications of what he believes here. He really thinks you can prevent AIDS by coming outside of someone.
And by using condoms.
No protection. No, he doesn't.
Which
need condoms.
is correct.
He doesn't need condoms because all you gotta do is pull out at the last second. Oh, no AIDS. That makes sense, right? That's logic. That's science. That's fact. Fuck you. But it gets worse.
How does it get worse?
I wish I could say that was the craziest thing Bob Frey believed, but he also believes dinosaurs and people lived together and the giants were once real. Once again, the Raw story is on the case with this one. According to audio from Frey's testimony to the State Senate Education Committee in January 2004, Frey opposed the inclusion of the theory of evolution in the standard curriculum. He illustrated his position in part by bringing what was described as a large plastic femur with him, and there's a picture in the Raw Story article that's about 4 or 5 feet long. It's hilarious. He illustrated his position in part by bringing... I already said that, goddammit. Frey testified at the time that, while proponents of evolution argued, quote, that humans probably evolved from bacteria that lived more than 4 billion years ago, that's not what we find in the fossil record. There's this 16-foot-tall giant was found with numerous others around the world. Dinosaurs have always lived with man. Is the rock wrong or is the theory wrong? I suggest to you that the theory is wrong. After clarifying to the committee that he had brought a replica and not an actual dinosaur bone, Frey said he had 25 hours worth of material covering, among other things, the repercussions of teaching the, quote, known fraud of evolution. $5 says that that's the entire Kent Hovind video series. So, quoting again, numerous of them have found up in Wisconsin, Texas, Egypt, Turkey, around the world, Frey said of the, quote, bone. The Bible says there were giants in the land in those days, in the early days. This shows that things are winding down, not winding up. So, yeah, fuck this dude. As a side note, annoyingly, various sites have named him as Bob Fry instead of Frey. Frey is correct, so anybody want to hire a proofreader?
Why would you bother doing that?
Shut up, John.
I obviously don't proofread anything. Fucker.
From the continuing idiocy file, Arizona.
This is great.
Arizona congressional candidate leads protest against a bus full of kids who were going to a YMCA camp.
Young man.
Official metal blog.
Go back to your home, I said, young man.
Leave us Americans alone. No. From the Meadow blog, Adam Quasman, a Republican state representative and congressional... I wish these guys weren't all Republicans, so I could say that there are some smart Republican candidates out there, but seriously, guys, stop fucking up. A Republican state representative and congressional candidate in Arizona apparently thought it'd be a good idea to lead a protest near Tucson yesterday, I don't know what day this was, against a bus full of children. The kids, the GOP candidate assumed, were undocumented minors on their way to a housing facility, because apparently this is a big thing that's going on in America right now. There's all these kids who have been crossing the border illegally, and they're figuring out what to do with them. But anyway, as the bus approached, Quasman tweeted, "Bus coming in, this is not compassion. This is the abrogation of the rule of law." He even boasted to a local reporter that he was, quote, able to see some of the children and the fear on their faces. But
I do agree. Going to a YMCA function, that's pretty bad.
But to quote Arizona 12 News, there was on their faces. Those weren't the migrants on the school bus. Those were children from the school district. They were heading to the YMCA's Triangle Y camp not far from the rite of passage shelter for the migrants at the base of Mount Lemmon. 12 News reporter Will Pitts, who was at the protest scene, says he saw the children laughing and taking pictures of the media. Quasman soon after deleted his tweet, though it was too late, and later admitted he had no idea what he was talking about. No shit.
Well, at least you got to give him that. At least he said that. I mean,
yeah.
You got this other guy. It's like, I'm going to double down on stupid. Like, you thought I was dumb before.
When a local reporter asked, "Do you know that was a bus with YMCA kids?" Quasman replied, "They were sad too. Okay, I apologize. I didn't know."
I'm actually happy with the results of this. Like, it's ridiculous this guy did what he did, but I'm happy with him going, yeah, I fucked up. That's my bad.
Those fucking kids.
How often do you hear that?
It was just an honest mistake, and he admitted it.
Honest mistake.
No, it was an honest mistake. It was just
to Twitter and
what he was doing in the first place. It was an honest mistake. He was doing something stupid in the first place, but he at least said, "Oh yeah, that there."
But you know. On a serious note, we really do have problems with the YMCA invading America, and we need to secure our borders against them.
Damn it! We should start a protest. We could open carry in front of all the YMCA's, yeah.
Jesus Christ!
News come out there. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, down with the YMCA. Fuck the youth of America. Why not like that? All right, moving on.
And now we're done with the whats.
And now we're done. My terrible humor, and now we're off to Mike Bowler with a follow-up from last week's show.
Yeah.
There was no last week's show, only this week's show.
Okay. There's only Zool. I know.
It was your turn for the bad joke that didn't land. Ha! So, Mike, tell us what happened after...
Okay. Yeah, this is the ballot challenge for the Libertarian Greens and the Constitution Party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're still at it, actually. It's supposed to be a week. I guess they're going into a second week. Tuesday, I guess, they're going to be back at this. Jim, our Q&A guy, kind of filled me in on some of the stuff. Looks like the Libertarians are going to make it. They've apparently they've been getting help from the Democrats. So
people who are deciding it shouldn't just be a two-party system. That's kind of amazing.
Yes,
I have to say I'm a little impressed with that.
Yeah, so it's looking good for the Libertarians, but the Green Party looks like they're out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame.
And the Constitution Party it's still iffy on that front. So, but they're supposed to they've got they have 44,000 signatures. I forget how the numbers break out. If Jim's watching, he can maybe throw the numbers up. But I guess they've gone through. I think they're at 45%. That are still good. They only need to be 25%. So unless something big happens next.
What is it that they're actually doing?
Lose after all.
How do you defend the signatures? What do they have to do?
It's a combination of they'll go to the voter roll. They'll look up a name. If there's a everything has to match. So if you live at such and such street, it has to say that whatever says in the voter roll should match up to the signature, because you'll put down the name.
The people who challenge the signatures don't actually have to demonstrate that they have a legitimate reason to challenge them? Or is this... I don't understand that.
It sounds like it. They can just... I don't know. It sounds like they spot check. But there's other things. There's... the Libertarians had some paid... I think they had some paid pollsters. And they don't care. They don't even vet the signatures that go on there, and a lot of those were getting thrown out because. I see. But it's like, everything has to match up, and then sometimes they'll even go after the guy that wrote or did the petition, and if that person, there's something wrong with his information, could wipe out all the signatures. Yeah, it's all stacked up against the third parties. But it sounds like you're doing all right. Yeah, so it sounds like everything's going good for the Libertarians. I think sounds like the Greens are out and the Constitutionists are kind of on I think they're in they're really close. They may get kicked out. So things are going well, but it's going on for another week. I guess.
American political system is best political system.
Well, apparently Oklahoma is worse than Illinois. I never looked into it, so I had no idea. So I think Oklahoma has some of the same rules because, like in Illinois, if one of the candidates on the Libertarian Party gets kicked out, actually all of them can't run. On top of it, the Libertarians the third parties have to run a full slate. They can't just run a governor and a lieutenant governor. They got to run all.
Choose.
Right. Whereas the Republicans and Democrats can. So it's so one-sided, and I'll even on top of it now. And hearing some of the stories, the Republicans were trucking in lawyers and college students, and apparently a lot of these college students didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were just standing there letting stuff go by. So it sounds like a real circus down there. And then they had these like the first few days they had these paid lawyers that were just doing everything possible to shut them down, and the election board kicked them out. They said, "Get out of here! You're not contributing. You're screwing things up. Get the fuck out of here." So at least the election board is trying to be fair too. So it's really a messed up setup. But like I said, it's looking good for the Libertarians. So that's a good sign. Maybe the system will work this time. Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that's going to be it for the show this week. Mike Bowler, what do you got coming up next on Skeptics Guide to Conspiracy?
I'm hoping to do ancient civilizations and conspiracies around those. So
neat.
I blame Atlantis.
Atlantis. I might even do the space-based ones, the civilizations on Mars and the moon, stuff like that.
Oh, the Plagiarians. Yeah.
Yeah, the face on Mars, Sidonia. There's supposed to be a ziggurat on the moon, all that kind of good stuff. So,
excellent.
We'll see what I come up with.
For our next episode, we're going to be talking about pseudo medical devices. That'll be interesting. Yes, we've got some good research already done on it. And more between now and then. So. All right, well, I guess everybody have a good week then, and we will catch you all next week.
Erno.
That's your line.
That's your line, Erno.
And remember, I didn't remember.